here we are. Oh, right.
My mic wasn't on when I said that. And transition. Ooh. Getting a little more professional with it.
I can't hear it on my end, but
It sounds really nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have the video up here, but I don't want to play it.
Sure. It's Monday night tonight, guys. We're back. I'm sitting kind of far from my microphone. Maybe I should get a little closer. We're back with Monday Night Tonight. The only, I think the only Monday-themed talk show podcast on the internet.
I don't know any others off the top of my head. So.
Yeah, I can't think of any others.
You have the Discord link there.
I do have the Discord link. I put the Discord link there because the Discord is open for anybody who wants to jump in. We do take calls on this show, even though nobody calls in. We take Discord calls. So feel free, if you are feeling like you want to chat with us, to go to the Discord. There's a couple call-in lines. I think they're open to everybody. It's been a while since we've done this show, so I don't remember how I had it set up.
It's fine. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Well, what's up? I'm gonna give this a like. What's up?
What's up? Well, we have to do the introduction. I'm your host, Colin. Your hostess with the mostest, and my guest tonight on Monday Night Tonight, the lovely Alex Crosby.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Well, you don't have to lie.
No, it's a very nice studio. It's a nice studio.
Yeah, isn't it nice in here?
Yeah, I can't believe you got stained glass windows and everything.
Yeah, and the candle. Have you smelled the candle?
It's Woodwick though, which
it's not that one actually. It's my other one.
On that topic though.
Okay.
So when we hung out Saturday, and that's the first time I'd ever heard of a Woodwick candle.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it, and then I happened to open up Amazon like later that night before I went to bed. I was gonna browse for a watch or something, and the first thing that came up, big on the homepage, was a Woodwick candle, which was kind of spooky to me.
Huh, that's interesting.
I don't know if that's like I would have gotten that advertisement and I only paid attention to it now, or if they just heard me speak.
I think your phone probably just heard it.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, or even more scary, your phone didn't hear it, but my Google Home heard it and saw that your phone was on the network and then told your phone, hey, this is what I heard.
That's a lot of A to C steps, and I really hope that I know we're making fun of that as a really far out there option, but part of me is like sweating. What if?
But, and you know what's weird is people get really creeped out by technology, like listening in and watching them, but like, what are you doing that you don't want your technology to hear? I mean, I guess there's a few private things that you might not want, but like, just put your phone or your like Amazon things or what have you, any listening device, just put it in a different room.
I guess so. I mean,
I guess I solved it. I
don't want to have to be in a room devoid of technology whenever I speak.
Well, not whenever you speak, but if you're doing like something private, like with a woman.
I'm doing something. No, I want them to hear that.
No, I wouldn't. Well, I guess because then it makes
listening in personally.
Yeah, because it makes whoever's listening feel uncomfortable. So, and that's really on them. They should feel shamed. It's not you. You're doing something.
At that point, you want them to hear out of protest.
Yeah.
Get loud intimately just to make Jeff Bezos uncomfortable.
Especially if the person's like maybe like homophobic or something, and you're like somebody of the same sex. You'd really be rubbing it in.
Yeah. So you know what, you want to listen? Well, you get to hear.
So all my LGBTQ people out there, If you
now,
really
now you
feel
know what
it,
to do.
yeah, you know what to do. I don't know if anybody at Google or Amazon specifically listening is homophobic,
But
but
just in case.
if you're ever having a bad day where maybe somebody said something really rude to you on the street or something like that, just imagine that they are on the listening end of your technological device, and just be like, "Listen, dude, this is me. This is the world we're living in. You got to accept this.
Um,
We just did a
so
service for."
look at that. We're allies. Uh,
Yeah.
I listened to um, as we talked about earlier today. I listened to the Conan O'Brien podcast for the first time. The episode with Stephen Colbert, and I already knew. I already had good opinions of the two of them,
Mm-hmm.
but listening to the two of them just have a one-on-one chat, it's like, wow, these just seem like two good guys doing their thing.
Oh, sure, sure. Well, they both respect each other quite a bit because they've been in. Well, I think Conan's been in television a little bit longer than Colbert.
Yeah, Conan's been in
But
television
I
for.
mean, they're both very intelligent guys, and they're both
They just seem really
just
like
nice
genuine
people.
people too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Good people. I was trying to think of like, you know, um, they're my two personal favorite talk show hosts. Although I do like Seth
Mhm.
Meyers a bit. I like
That's
Seth
another
Meyers.
guy that I always hear because there's
He seems
that
like a nice guy.
there's that fella Eddie Burback makes YouTube content. He lives with Gus Johnson. Are you
Hmm.
familiar with his work? He made a video about talk show, like late night talk shows, and kind of how they've changed over the years, and how Conan. We were talking about it today. How Conan is like one of the only ones that's moving more towards a digital kind of platform, and away
Uh-huh.
from all the television stuff that's dying out. But he also made a point that I did disagree with. I mean, I don't know if maybe you've picked up on this, but he thinks that Stephen Colbert has a bit of an ego in his show, and will like I guess like direct his interviews in a certain way that makes it seem like he wants the focus to be on him. I've never really
I don't.
experienced that.
I haven't picked up. Granted, I mean, I haven't watched like a whole library of Conan's interviews recently,
Oh,
but
not
I
not not
never
with
got.
Conan, with Colbert.
Oh, not with. I'd say
Yeah.
Colbert, but that's what I meant. But no, I mean, I never picked up on that.
Hmm.
I just picked up on it as trying to like make engaged conversation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Because
maybe.
I have seen and to be fair, in the video that I watched that was talking about it, he did credit Colbert for his, I don't want to say bravery because that makes it sound grander than it is, but he will ask people very tough questions, and the one that I was most surprised was he's pretty well known for being friends with Neil deGrasse Tyson, or at least having like a friendly relationship with him.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was early last year, maybe the end of 2018, there were allegations that came out against Neil deGrasse Tyson, accusing him of having sexually assaulted a woman in college.
I remember
And
that vaguely.
it, as far as I'm aware, the story didn't really amount to anything, and it mostly blew over.
Hmm.
But the very first question when Colbert had him on after the allegations came out, the very first question he's like, "Listen, I gotta ask you, what happened with those allegations?" Like, didn't even like buffer it or anything or try to make a joke about it. It was just like, "This is what I'm asking you." I think that's a really, it's a bold step to make as
I respect
a
that.
host
Uh,
and an interviewer.
yeah, I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
I had watched a video the other day that had put together a timeline. Speaking of talk show hosts,
Mm-hmm.
had put together a timeline of the whole Conan thing with the Jay Leno show back in
Oh
the day,
right, yeah.
with the whole Tonight Show and all that. There's a part two to it that I want to watch because in that video, something that surprised me was that I forgot George Lopez had a talk show.
Oh God, it was on TBS, right?
Yeah, it was on TBS. It was on TBS, and I like forgot he had one
Oh man.
because I feel like, granted, I haven't watched too much George Lopez material outside of the George Lopez sitcom,
Of course, yeah.
which was like, eh. But George
That's
Lopez
fair.
doesn't. I think the only George Lopez content I've seen has been the George Lopez sitcom,
Mm-hmm.
and then uh, Shark Boy and Lava Girl. But I don't get the sense that George Lopez is super funny. Is that a hot take?
I don't think that's a hot take. I
That
think
George Lopez is not that funny?
that's a pretty lukewarm take. I mean, I've never. I don't hate the George Lopez show, like the
No,
sitcom. It's
it's
fine,
it's fine,
but I
but
can't say that I've like laughed out loud at anything that they did on the show.
no, I'd say it's fine. It's definitely got some funny moments, but as far as sitcoms go, I don't know. That was on for a while.
It was on Nick at Night. Nick at Night has this habit of uh putting things on life support that should have died a long time ago.
The Nanny though. The Nanny's good.
That's one of the things that should have died a long time ago.
Yeah, but it's also funny. So
Well, maybe to you. Well,
uh,
well that's a question because
mm,
of the things I thought about in the car that we could talk about, and we're
yeah,
kind of in the same uh, wheelhouse. So, a lot of people, maybe some of our listeners don't know. I'm a bit of a comedian, bit of a
yeah,
local
a Joker.
Philadelphia comedian, semi-professional, and you like to think you're one. And,
No, I
and
just hang out with one.
who?
Uh, anyway, what was your question?
Uh, who? Who or what are some of your comedic influences? Would you say?
That's a good question. I
Yeah,
would
I
say
ask
I'd have
those sometimes.
to. um, I don't know if I can pin it necessarily to one person off the top of my head, um, or things like that. But I think, like when I think back to comedic influences, I'd say the first one I'm going to pinpoint is probably just in general. Whose line is it anyway?
Okay.
Just as an entity, specifically, probably I like Ryan and Colin,
Hmm.
probably specifically more so Ryan, but just as an entity, because that was a show I watched that a lot when I was younger, and that's what kind of planted the improv seed in my brain. Was
Hmm.
this is this is really just as a whole thing, I loved it. Um, but as far as comedic influences, I'm trying to think if there's any one person whose style I've replicated, or if it's just kind of been all the comedic content I've taken in.
Well, influence doesn't necessarily need to mean replicated.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. Who would you name?
Oh gosh, I mean, uh, Stephen Colbert's a big one.
Yeah.
I've always really liked him. I have that picture that I drew of him next to my bedside. Really needs to be dusted off. Uh, Another one would be Mike Birbiglia is another guy that I respect the way he does like stand up a lot, and I think
Uh-huh.
he has a really cool. I guess it's not necessarily his style, but like he keeps things very clean, but still in kind of the same way Conan does comedy, finds ways
Hmm.
to make the joke not necessarily about the person he's talking about, but about how he responded poorly to the situation.
Yeah.
And I always
Yeah.
think it's not necessarily self-deprecation, but it's like painting yourself in a way where the audience can like picture themselves in that situation and go, "Yeah, I can see how I might have made that decision," or "Yeah, I can see how that how I would never make that decision."
uh, yeah. No, Mike Birbiglia is a good one.
Yeah.
As is Stephen Colbert for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, and John Mulaney too. I know
Yeah.
he's still like a relatively I guess he's relatively new to the stand-up scene, but he's the guy that everybody always points to as like, oh, he's the funniest guy, but he really is
He's
genuinely a
hilarious.
really and
He's
his whole like comedy career is so interesting. Just the path that he's taken through writing for SNL and then like transitioning into stand-up and then writing for other shows. It's really interesting.
I think it's funny. I would totally read a John Mulaney memoir if he ever wrote one.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but
I
I think
can't
it's funny
imagine you would.
sometimes. No, when I watch like SNL skits on like YouTube and stuff, it's funny to sometimes go and see comments and say this just feels like a Mulaney sketch, or like you could tell John Mulaney wrote this one.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because people. Well, it's what happened with Bo Burnham. I'm starting to kind of see with John Mulaney, where like they break into the mainstream, and then everybody thinks that they like understand what they're doing. It's like, no, you don't. You have no clue what kind of work this guy's doing. Except Bo Burnham had the audacity to go and make fun of those people in his shows.
um, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna be thinking about that influence question a bit because I've never really thought of, I guess, a particular person in that sense, but I've just absorbed a lot of comedy content.
Mm-hmm. I know it's something I had to think about a lot in uh air quotes art school, because you
Yeah.
get asked that a
Okay.
lot, and like teachers are always like, oh, go see, look at some art, and research artists. And I had my one art professor would like give me a list of artists to go look at and be like, just see what you get from them and see if they influence you. But like I've never, I don't know. It's a weird relationship to have with like and finding what your influences are,
Yeah.
because you don't want to copy things, but at the same time you want to be able to use a certain artist or a comedian, I guess, as like a reference for
I
what
think
you're doing.
most people probably just don't generally consciously think of it and say,
Hmm.
you know, no one says, "Wow, I'm so
Yeah,
influenced by John Mulaney here." It's just you gravitate towards that type of content.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I mean,
I
until they're asked in an interview who their
yeah.
influences are.
Uh, I sometimes, I'll admit, sometimes being someone that likes to tell jokes, uh, I feel funny sometimes. I guess maybe slightly guilty sometimes. I guess where you hear comedians talk about themselves, and lots of times for many comedians, it's like kind of an escape from something, or like, oh, they turned to comedy and it really helped it. Like when I was listening to the Conan and Colbert one, and
Hmm.
talked about, oh, comedy saved them in this certain way, blah blah blah, from being like a super anxious person or just from whatever despair they were feeling. But I've
Hmm.
never quite had that for me. I feel like I like telling jokes. It's
Well,
never been this.
your
I'm
life
not
is
like a
too
deep
good.
tortured. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I always feel like comedians. Lots of times they're all like, oh, it's like a relief, a deep tortured soul relief or whatever. But
Hmm.
I mostly just like telling jokes.
I kind of understand it, because like when we were doing improv classes and then took that break for like what was it, like 6 months where we waited between classes.
Yeah, yeah.
I was so depressed in between. Granted, I was also working a really crappy job that made me want to die every day. But like once we started doing classes again, I was like, oh my god, this feels so much better.
Oh yeah.
I actually
It's
want to get
definitely
up in the morning.
it's definitely like if you're having a rough time, I don't think that there's any better release than comedy, personally. Well, for
Mm-hmm.
me, like if you're having a rough day, sometimes you can just go in somewhere, tell some jokes or hear some jokes, and it just completely, for me anyway, changes my mood.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say my propensity for jokes doesn't come from. It's not rooted in any kind of anguish.
Yeah, and I mean, you
Sure,
also have like you have a jokey dad too, so I imagine
that's
that's
true.
more where your penchant for it comes from.
Yeah, that's probably it. Uh,
I guess that's why you'll never be successful,
yeah, I'm just not.
because you haven't had a tragedy.
I'm gonna go around just tell, do something terrible to me, please.
Please kill my family.
So I need a tragedy.
Well, like, oh, I hate to go back to him. John Mulaney doesn't necessarily reference any tragic point in his life. He
That's funny.
a lot of the stories that he tells about his life are always like, yeah, my dad was a hard ass, but like I still love my dad and he still loves me.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's, hey, you don't have to have a tragedy happen in your life.
But I watched Joker,
Oh, okay.
and he
Yeah.
had tragedy, and
Yeah,
then
he
he
did.
became a Joker.
Yeah, and
So
his jokes were pretty funny. I don't know why people got upset about them.
they were fun.
That
Comedy
one,
gold.
that drunk driver one.
No, no. How about another joke, my Ray?
Yeah, I thought that conversation would go longer, but don't worry, I have other topics we could talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you as
Oh,
a
okay.
conversation starter. Oh, I feel like
Yeah, I've
we
seen
talked.
Joker. Oh, that wasn't the
um,
question?
no, I feel like I brought it up, but we probably didn't stay on the topic because we got distracted with our friends. 'Cause we have poor attention spans. But did you have any like resolutions for this year?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. I had talked to Michael, my roommate, for those of you uninitiated, um, and our friend Dylan about what my resolutions would be this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've picked, you know this, and I won't go into the details of what my resolutions have been in the past.
Yeah.
Because I realize now it's not as funny as as I thought they were.
I mean, I thought they were.
But I've had a lot of very pie in the sky resolutions that I think were a little too grand for me to achieve. Um, but this year, I have a very nebulous kind of general resolution that
Mm.
I know a lot of people say like, oh, it should be very specific, like easy thing that you can do. Like the one I heard is like 2 minutes. If it takes you 2 minutes, then that's a good resolution to make. Um,
Mm.
but mine is to just make things in 2020. I'm just gonna make
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. That's uh I kind of have something in the same vein where my plan is to tomorrow start the comic page that Jake has been pushing me to.
All right,
And
tomorrow.
yeah, well, I've been like kind of doing stuff, and the way I've been thinking about it is, look, I don't know if the content's going to be any good. It might not be good at all, but um I'm tired of kind of worrying about how the outcome will be,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Saying, oh, like, the most common piece of advice I've always heard from like creators when they're giving advice is, oh, just make something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just make, even if it's not good, just make it. And that's kind of like kind of trying to. Oh, hey, I see Jake's in the chat now,
Yeah,
but
there
I'm
he
kind
is.
of it's like, speak of the goddamn devil. But I'm kind of tired of sitting there and wondering, oh boy, how's it gonna turn out? Should I bother to put in the effort? What
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't turn out well? Like, nah, I just want to say, go for it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least I tried, you know?
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah,
That was most of
but
my senior year of my art projects. But it was also because they were assignments, and if I didn't do them, I wouldn't get a grade.
yeah, you got it. You didn't have as much choice.
Yeah, I didn't really have a
Um,
choice, but it does. I can verify it does ring true because some of those were winners. There's a
uh,
there was a couple good
uh,
paintings in that
you had
batch.
some paintings. Most of the, I think of the paintings that I've seen from you probably were in that time period, and I liked. But yeah, that's kind of probably my biggest resolution is stop just like worrying about how things are going to turn out and
Hmm.
just, actually be active for once. Stop thinking and just do.
Well, I find that interesting because I've known you a long time, and you never really have seemed to be the person who cares much what other people think.
Um, I'd say in that sense, yeah, I don't necessarily uh care too much. Like, uh, I'm not as super easy to embarrass necessarily,
Hmm.
I should say. But there will be a lots of times before starting an endeavor or before like doing something, I'll really kind of sit there and think about it. Lots of times I won't make a big move until I think it's like 100% the right
Hmm.
thing to do. Um, but that's kind of a habit I want to get out of.
That's fair. I guess it. Yeah, it's harder um to like do something putting knowing you're gonna have to put like a lot of effort into it
Yeah, like if
if you
I'm
don't
goofing
think it's
off,
gonna be good.
exactly. Like if I'm goofing off or whatever, sure, I'm happy to embarrass myself or happy to go do something silly. But in the sense of like, using the comic page as a relevant example. If it's an actual endeavor, something that's going to take effort and get like a reception and all that, you know, uh, I guess there's a bit of apprehension in what if it doesn't turn out well.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
if there's any piece of advice we can give to our listeners, I think you've already said it. Just freaking do it.
Stop thinking about consequences. If you want something, just do it.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Okay, let's back up for a second. That's
Regardless of what it is. No,
no.
don't listen to that advice. That was a joke.
Yes. It's just a joke.
Well, that's my legal disclaimer. I was joking.
Just a prank, bro.
Yeah, that's another piece of advice. If you do anything and follow it up with the phrase, it's a prank, it's okay.
That's good. Well, we had 6 listeners at one point. We're down to 3. One of them being you, the other being me, and the third being Jake. So hey, Jake, how you doing?
Jake, if you have anything you want to comment,
Yeah, feel free,
throw it.
type it in the chat if you have a free minute. The call lines are open on the Discord. That Discord link should still work. If it doesn't, let me know. I'll fix it. If you're listening to this post live, then that Discord link will not be effective. You can still go in there and maybe in the QA section, I have a QA text channel. If you have a question, I suppose you could put your question in there, and maybe next episode we'll answer your question. I think that'd be a fun thing. I did have an idea for the show I wanted to run by you.
What's up?
And maybe not a question we're gonna answer there, Jake. And I don't feel comfortable reading that on the show.
Jake, deposit the money into my bank account first, and you will get it.
My idea was,
sorry. Yeah.
I don't know how long we could sustain it, and I'd really just be interested to see how far we could go with it. But my idea is to have a guest on, do a show with them, and then the next week, the guest from the previous episode is tasked with finding a new guest. So they would go and ask somebody they know and be like, hey, do you want to be on this show? Here's the link. This is the time. Go on. And then we would keep doing that. So the previous guest finds the next guest. And maybe I don't necessarily know who the next guest is going to be. So it's kind of like I'm meeting a new person every time. And we're just having a chat.
That would be fun.
That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we'd be able to do it. Because I feel like by the second person, they would be like, I couldn't find anybody.
Yeah, probably.
Or it would be like I have you go and get somebody and you get like Jake, and then Jake goes and gets another friend of ours.
We cycle through the same 8 people every week.
And then somebody gets you, and it's like, all right, we've come back. But I don't know. I think that'd be kind of fun because I'm trying to get better at meeting people, not necessarily at meeting more people, but like the whole starting introduction. I feel like I'm not as good at it as I thought I was. It's really hard to make a good first impression.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's why I generally like meeting parents. I think it's easy to make it with their kid, and they're probably gonna laugh and be set right away. But if you're meeting like a peer or someone for the first time, I mean, you got to go through the rigmarole of, hi, I'm Alex, nice to meet you. Hi. You know. Well,
for me, it's like I've had to meet a lot of people through the theater company, the improv theater, and it's usually me not saying anything to anybody and just kind of like being on my own, and then them coming up to me and be like, oh, hey, I saw what you did in there. It was really cool. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. Oh, I'm Colin. So nice to meet you. And it's just not good because I'm a very shy person. I don't like to engage people, mostly because I don't want to bother them. I recognize I can be a very annoying person, and I don't want to put that on a stranger. I don't want them to have that realization too soon.
That's always kind of struck me as interesting because I know that you're uh, a somewhat shy person in that sense. It was always interesting because I feel like you thrive in social environments.
Well, it's just another stage.
That's fair. All the world's a stage.
Yeah, I like because I like being around people and I like having conversations and God knows I like talking, but like the whole all right, thanks Jake. The whole he said they'll know. uh
Don't worry, I sent him the picture he wants.
oh, I see. But like the whole
Anyway, no, I understand that
yeah.
sense though, and like I enjoy social environments. I like being around people, hanging out, and all that. I feel like you're right that first point of contact.
Yeah, cuz like I never know how
Oh,
weird I
sorry,
can
you
get.
kind of cut out. Are you back?
I'm here. Hello?
Okay. Oh, hello. You're cutting in and out for me a little bit.
Oh, sorry. No, it's
Oh, you're back, I think.
okay. There we go. Uh,
Yeah.
what was I saying? Oh, it's I never know how weird I can get with people. Like it takes
Yeah,
me a while to test the waters.
I think that's a good first bit of it. Well, I had that kind of feeling when I was meeting people at work a little bit, where it's like,
Hmm.
okay, I don't know what I can say that's like funny enough and acceptable enough,
Hmm.
acceptable level of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I had that like grace period where I was like, "Ooh, I'm not really sure how weird I can get with some of these jokes." And then like you put a little tester out there, and then coworker hits you with, "Yeah, we're the spicy water boys." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, so now
Okay.
we're in that tier of weird."
Yeah,
And
and you can just kind
then
of
yeah, and then
push
you're
a.
like you push it a little bit more, and then you get hit with oh, my friend's part of the Smoochy gang. I'm in Smoochy gang too. Want to join? I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I feel that. And then you realize you've gone too far when nobody's at the lunch table anymore.
Yeah, what's up with that? Oh, well, no, it's not. Now it's not the platform.
Don't worry, nobody from work's gonna listen to this.
What?
I asked them
Joey's
to.
listening.
I asked them to. They popped in for a second, said, "What do I get?" And I said, "The joy of our pleasant conversation." And then our
Not
numbers went
enough.
from 6 to 3.
Ooh.
So, but we're still having a good time. We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we got
Well,
some time.
how long were you having this going for?
As long as we feel like it. There's no
That's fair.
pressure. We're just listen, we're just a couple of boys chatting. It's on a Monday night. And it's my GD show, and it'll go as long as I want. If I want to cut it early, I'll cut it early.
What if you didn't cut it? It would go as long as I want. Please end the show.
Well, it
No.
would have to end.
Hour 8 of Monday night tonight.
It would have to end at midnight, because then it's Tuesday, and we can't have a Monday night tonight on a Tuesday.
I guess that's true.
That'd be ludicrous. I'd have to make a whole new graphic.
Monday night last night.
Yeah,
Uh,
it would be Monday night yesterday, or just slap the word like Tuesday over Monday. It'd be Tuesday night tonight.
um,
But then it's TNT, and I don't remember what TNT's slogan is. So, do they have one?
mm, no,
No, I guess
I
it's.
don't
Is
think
that weird?
so.
Only certain channels have a slogan, or is it just
Um,
TBS and USA?
no, like that. What's USA slogan?
USA's characters welcome.
Oh, no, I feel like networks probably have unofficial slogans.
Oh, okay.
But I can't think of any off the top of my head. Like, I feel like Food Network should have a slogan.
I think I think the slogan is just like, "We got
Yum.
food,
Uh,
you fat slob."
I like that food content is uh very, very popular.
Especially on YouTube,
Yeah,
it's really getting big.
I like that. That's like good, wholesome, creative content. I feel like a lot
Hmm.
more easily accessible than something like woodworking or
Sure, yeah,
a lot of other DIY stuff. Because
because everybody
for like,
eats.
yeah, all that other DIY stuff is very, very cool, and I'm glad to see that on the rise as well. 'Cause it's always nice to see creative stuff on the rise.
Hmm.
But you like, I feel like you have to be equipped to start that.
Hmm.
All you really need for baking is like time, because it's a long process, and a kitchen.
And I think it's easier to understand, at least like the utility of cooking. Because like
Yeah,
somebody seeing or given the option between like a woodworking video or a cooking video, it's like, well, I can't ever see myself woodworking, but I can see myself cooking. Like
yeah,
that's an
yeah,
easy
yeah.
thing to do.
I really told myself this year I really wanted to like eat healthier,
Hmm.
but goddamn, as someone that's like a very picky eater, I have to tell you, it's a real struggle. 'Cause, like, I like fruits a lot.
Hmm.
I'm fine with fruits, but like vegetables are so either unappealing or boring.
I guess
Like
it.
baby carrots taste fine, but they're so boring.
Well, you can't just eat them on their own.
Yeah, throw a little ranch on there, but like,
No, that's not. I mean, you gotta like have them with something else. Like I used to not like peppers all that much, but I found
yeah.
that like if you add peppers to certain dishes, it adds kind of like I'm not really sure. I want to say like a vegetable equality, but it's kind of like a nice fresh like taste
Uh-huh.
to it. But then you also get like a nice crunch because peppers have like a good bite to them.
Um, yeah, I feel like I should really like sit down and baby step my way
Hmm.
into eating more foods. Because I would like to eat more. It's just you put something in front of me and I have a tough time with it.
Unless it's chicken tendies.
Chicken tindi. Why? You know, I like that. It's good. Chicken in all forms is usually pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I got into a bad habit of just like only cooking chicken all the time, like chicken breasts. And I'm like, this isn't sustainable. I can't be eating chicken breasts every day. Like, I gotta mix it up. So I'm like, okay, I'll get some beef. And then I realized I
Okay.
can't only eat chicken and beef. Like, there has to be something else in my diet.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I
Oh, do you do pasta?
I like pasta.
Pasta's so easy to cook. It's so quick. You learn a lot about like knowing how long something should be like on the heat or like how high the heat should be.
I should say
That's a good starter.
when I cook pasta, it's like box pasta or like
Well, yeah,
gnocchi or ravioli or something that I'm just like, okay, easy instructions, put that in, let
but
it
like
boil for a few minutes.
yeah, a box pasta. If it's most pasta comes in a box,
Well, that's fair.
that's fine. But like, what I mean is like something I learned from binging with Babish is that
Oh,
pasta tastes so much better if you actually cook it most of the way in the water, like boiling it, and then actually put it into a pan with some of the sauce and a little bit of butter, and then let it cook in the pan. Because then the
hmm,
sauce actually kind of like gets into the noodles themselves. Excuse me,
okay,
and it tastes so much better. And that little
really?
bit of butter kind of adds a richness to the sauce.
Huh?
So I do that every time I make pasta. I put it into a pan afterwards and I cook it up a little bit more.
I never. Well, that's something simple but like
Yeah, and like it
effective.
takes very little extra effort. You have to clean an extra pan. That's all.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I might actually remember that for the next time.
Yeah. Next episode of Cooking with Colin, where oh no, I already did cooking pasta. I'll have to find something else to do.
Jake cooks all his pasta in Evian water.
That
What's the pH balance of that pasta?
it's probably pretty high. I imagine there's a lot of. No wait,
Hmm?
no, it'd be low, pretty low, because I imagine they put a lot of chemicals in it to keep the pH low. Right?
I wonder if they'll release a water one day that's pure pH.
It would be like lemon. It would taste like lemon juice, like pure lemon juice.
Lemon water.
I wonder. I wonder how much pH is in lemon juice. I think the max is 7 on the scale. Maybe it's 12.
Can I look it up? Let's look it up.
I can't be bothered to Google it.
pH in lemon juice. I got you. I'll be your fact checker. Lemon juice has a pH of around 2.0. To put that in perspective, the pH of battery acid is 1.0, while the pH of an apple is about 3.0.
Okay, so the lower the number, the more acid is in it.
I would hope. I would
I
really
think,
hope I'm
yeah.
not eating apples that are more acidic than batteries.
Because I think most tap water comes in at around max is 14.
That's incredibly.
I think
Well, if higher number is lower, I don't know.
yeah, I
I'm
think
not an
most
acid
tap
expert.
water has to be at around like a 5 as like the lowest it can go. I feel like I heard that somewhere. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass now. This wasn't on my topic list.
What is on your topic list? Give us a topic.
We could do like one more. I was gonna talk about. We were talking about it briefly today, but drivers, bad drivers on the road.
God! Don't
I
get
feel like
me
it's gotten
started.
worse. Like after the holidays, people have just gotten worse.
People are just. They do little things that irritate me.
Yeah.
Stop! Don't put your turn signal on as you're merging.
7 is pH neutral, above is alkaline, and below is acidic. Okay. That's what Jake said. Sorry, we're finishing up the pH discussion.
I wouldn't be able to sleep if I didn't hear more pH.
God, something. I was on the road. Somebody annoyed me today. I forget what happened. I think I was like, yeah, okay. So I was driving down the street not too far from my apartment, where 2 lanes merge into one. And like it goes relatively slow because it then goes up to like a stop sign, so like everything is just halted at that point. But there's this guy that was a little bit ahead of me in the right lane, which has to merge over into the left lane. So I was kind of like hanging back, allowing him space, him or her, them, space to move into the left lane ahead of me. And they were like riding the line between the 2 lanes, not actually committing fully to the left lane.
That's annoying.
And I'm like, dude, I'm giving you this gift, this absolute opportunity. Just take it. You're infuriating me.
I can be like a petty driver, which is probably not the place to be petty. No, I forget who. There's like I was driving somewhere once and I was going 60, which was like the speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 60, and this woman behind me is riding my ass and like honking at me. So I slowed down to like 30 miles an hour because she couldn't get over into the next lane.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as she could get into the next lane, I floored it. But just like, why are you honking at me? I'm going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
The speed limit. There's cars in front of me, cars to the side of me.
That's the worst. It's like when there's a car ahead of you and they're like honking at you or like getting annoyed that you're not going faster.
Yeah, like
it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I can't plow through this guy.
And first of all, like if you want to be going faster than me already going over the speed limit, go around. Just go around.
Honestly.
Like if you want to risk the ticket, if you have that extra cash lying around, go ahead, do it. Like no problems there.
I think drivers' lack of turn signals is my biggest driving pet peeve. I can't stand it. People that merge with that, that put the turn signal on as they're merging,
Yeah.
or that just don't have it on at all.
I get annoyed when they leave it on. Like I had a guy the other day. He merged into my lane, left his turn signal on for like 3 miles. Like, what?
Now that's a little absurd. I give him some leeway because I've definitely like turned or merged and not noticed a click off or something. But 3 miles is a little absurd.
But like if you're merging, you have to manually turn it off. You should any driver should understand that.
Oh yeah,
by
like
now.
merging definitely.
Like I don't think I've ever left my turn signal on after merging because I understand I'm gonna have to flick this off when I finish because I'm not making I get so mad.
That's fair. No one's a good driver but me.
Well, I'm a pretty good driver, so.
I think everyone has that thought about themselves, where if just no one else was on the road, it'd be perfect.
I mean, yeah, there would be, God, if I had to guess, 100% less accidents.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure.
There'd be a lot less, but someone will find a way, depending on who the one driver is.
I guess they'd be that. They'd probably eventually find a way to just like crash into a stone wall, end it all. Well, I think that's probably a pretty good spot to wrap things up.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. If you tuned in live,
Jake, since you're in the chat, I'm pretty sure that makes you're the next guest next week.
Well, that's gonna be up to you. Let's try it. Yeah, you find somebody, and I'm gonna make the rule now. I'm gonna lay out the rules right now. The person. Well, Jake's not gonna be able to. He works on Monday nights.
Oh, bastard.
So the rules are, you have to find, if you were the previous guest, you have to find somebody before Monday. So like Sunday night at the latest, because I need to know if I'm gonna have somebody.
That's a good rule.
You can't repeat guests, and yeah, that's it.
Okay.
No repeats, and I gotta know by Sunday.
Okay, that's fair. Now repeats, I'm assuming people that have already been on are fair game.
Well,
prior to this episode.
Yeah, prior to this episode. Anybody that's been on prior to this episode can come back. So Mike Messina, if anybody wants to try and get in touch with Victor, or I could text. No, you have to do it on your own. I don't want to be involved.
Okay. I'm gonna get Bridget.
No, you don't have her number. I'm not giving it to you either.
I'm gonna find a way, and just tell her, hey.
Because I want to see how far removed from my immediate friend group we can get. I think that'd be cool. I don't know. I think it'd be fun. If you're watching after the live screening, which this was streamed on what's today, January 13th, 2020. And I don't know, maybe you're interested in being on the show. Get in touch with whoever was on the most recent episode, I guess.
I love that idea. Someone goes back to listen and they just like, I gotta find who was this guy.
I don't know. Maybe I might put in the descriptions of the archive videos. I'll ask the guests ahead of time. Hey, can I put your Twitter handle in here in case somebody wants to get in touch with you? We'll see what happens. Nobody's gonna watch this video anyway, so it doesn't matter. But thank you very much, Alex, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I hope we'll be back next week. We'll see.
You will with Balix, my surprise guest.
Can't do that. That's not gonna fly. Not gonna fly in this house, sir.
Alright, well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow at work.
I'll see you tomorrow.